Did your first love leave you thinking the summer air would never taste the same?
Alright, hello everyone. Today we will be working in Bryce and we will be doing the Dragonfly tutorial. So, let me switch over to Bryce. Make sure you have Bryce open and have the tutorial open on the Moodle, on the Bryce Moodle. And we will be following that step by step to create our Dragonfly. So the first thing we learned that we're going to do with our Dragonfly is that we are going to be working with something called meta balls. Meta balls are spheres that blend into one another when placed in close proximity. What this means is that when they're close, they kind of mold together, and you'll kind of see what I mean in a little bit. With meta balls, you could easily create a wide variety of organic and realistic looking shapes. So with meta balls, you could kind of create different shapes, even though it's a sphere shape. You'll see its properties and how it kind of molds to one another and how you can use that to your benefit to create different shapes. Okay, so in this tutorial, you're going to create a dragonfly using meta balls and spheres. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to create and manipulate meta balls, group and render meta balls, use spheres, rotate some objects, apply some materials. So, the first thing we're going to work on is we're going to create the insect's body. And in order to do this, we're going to create, resize, and reposition a series of small meta balls for the insect's body. Please go to the Create palette up at the top, up here, okay, and then go ahead and click the meta ball right here. Make sure not to click the sphere. If you click the sphere, it's not going to come out the way you want to, so please make sure you're using the meta ball. I'm hovering over it right now, and you can read it right there that it says meta ball. So you go ahead and click it, and you create a meta ball. We're going to edit the attributes, so we click the A right next to the meta ball. And we are going to change the size settings down here of X, Y, and Z to 10, 10, 10. Okay, so we created that. We clicked OK to close the dialog box and apply the changes. And now we're going to press Ctrl D 9 times to duplicate the resized meta ball 9 times. So you'll have a total of 10 when you're done with this. And the new meta balls will be created directly on top of the first meta ball. So let's go ahead and hit Control D. 8, 9. Okay? And they're right on top of one another. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag the meta balls to reposition them. You're going to line them up horizontally and overlap them slightly. So since they're all over this first one, we're just going to go ahead and move them into place. You can zoom in if you wish. Okay? But make sure that your view is where you want it. Okay, so just go ahead and drag these all to the right. And make sure that it's as straight as possible when going horizontal. And only overlapping slightly. Okay. You want the overlaps to be the same for each meta ball. So for instance, this one's a little bit too overlapped. And then I'll spread this one over. Okay. It's a little low. Fix it. There we go. Make sure it's even. Oh, that was it. Okay, so I'll leave that one there. Remember, if you mess anything up or you did a step you didn't want to do, make sure you hit the undo button, which is Control Z, okay? Or you can go up to Edit, Undo. Okay, it's right up here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the dragonfly's head using 2 meta balls of different sizes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to delete the ground plane. We're going to get it out of our way. Okay, so I select it, I get rid of it by hitting the delete key. Next, we're going to click the meta ball to create a meta ball. So I click it, I make it. I drag the meta ball to position it on the left side of the body so that it is close to and barely touching the others. So, right? I like to make sure it's touching just to make sure that they're going to kind of connect to one another. Okay, so just slightly touching there. Just a slight overlap. Okay, so click the meta ball tool and create a second meta ball. Okay, this is going to be the second part of the head, so you can move it over towards this side. And change the size to 15, 15, 15. So go ahead and click the Attributes button, 15, 15, 15, and 15. Enter. And go ahead and slightly overlap. Remember, you want the middle of this meta ball to touch the middle of this meta ball. So make sure they're even. Okay, so there you have it. So when you render it, it now starts to take its shape, and you'll notice how the meta balls kind of overlap one another and kind of mold into one another. Hit the escape key to get out of the render window. So now what we are going to do is we are going to make the eyes of the dragonfly. So click the meta ball tool to create the first eye. So we can drag this up here, make sure it's out of our way, resize it, and the size is going to be 10, or no, I'm sorry, it's going to be 6, 6, and 6, and enter. And you're going to duplicate that by hitting Control D, so now you have two eyes. So you can click and drag that away from the other one if you wish. Alrighty. So you're going to click the triangle beside the view control to display the view options menu and choose from front. So we're going to change the camera angle to from front. There you go. That's from front. Make sure you zoom in nice and tight. Okay. And drag the eyes where you think they would go on a dragonfly. So I'd say about right here. And you're going to want them right on top of one another because it looks like it's almost from a side view. It's not quite a side view, but you'll see what happens in a second. Okay, so we match these up perfectly, just about, pretty close. You'll notice that the perspective that we're looking at, it won't even be close to where they're supposed to be. And that's why we are going to, switch to the top view, okay, from top, okay. And now we zoom in using this little zoom tool over here. That's what I'm using. Okay, and now they go on the sides of the dragonfly's head, kind of like this. Okay, make sure that they kind of fall off the edge there of the head meta ball, and make sure that they're evenly spaced, that it's symmetrical around here. Okay, and that looks pretty good. So if I render that, you'll notice that the eyes are perfect right here. They just meet. They mold into the meta ball here, and that's how it should look. So if you go ahead and switch your view back to, you can hit reset views if you wish, and you can render that, and now you have the eyes of your dragonfly. Okay, and they look very good. Okay, so hit escape to get out of that render window, and we'll move on. After you completed the body, head, and eyes, you'll group them. Grouping them lets you control a set of objects as a single unit. So instead of moving everything all individually, we can move them all at once. You can either click an object and then shift click the rest, okay, which is kind of a pain, or you could just click, hold, and drag a box, a selection box around your objects here. There you go. See, now make sure you don't select your light source here. Your light source is very important, and you do not want to delete this, so make sure you don't include that in your selection. That should always stay green. Okay, so I select these, and I'm going to group them by hitting the G button here. Okay, now they're grouped. They're inside this three-dimensional rectangle here, this cube, and we can move on. What you could also have done, let's ungroup this real fast, just to let you know what else you could do. If you look down at the lower right hand corner here, you have a whole bunch of objects here that look just like the Create palette up at the top. Now, if yours doesn't look like this, you can go ahead and hit the globe right here, okay? The little circle with lines through it, and you could toggle between these. And you want to select the meta ball right here, and it'll select all of your meta balls without clicking and holding and dragging a box or shift clicking, and it just selects all of your meta balls together, and you hit the G button to group them. Okay, so we're going to render the dragonfly. We already rendered it, so I'm not going to do it again. Okay, to see what it looks like so far. We're in wireframe now. We just saw it in the render. It looks good. We're ready to move on. Okay, so we're going to make the wings, and we're going to use spheres to make the wings. You might not think that using spheres would be a good idea, but you'll see why it is a good idea to use the spheres. Okay, so in the Create palette, you're going to use the sphere. The sphere is right here next to the meta ball. So go ahead and click that sphere. Okay, so here's your sphere. Okay, click the Edit Attributes button. That's the A right there. And we're going to change the settings to 10.15 and 60. 0.15 flattens this out, this sphere, and as you can see that I'm dragging around my Dragonfly to kind of take a look at it. Okay, it looks just like a wing. That's exactly what we want here. So I'm going to reset my view so I go back to where I was. Okay, so reset. Okay, so here's my wing. Oop, move my camera like I told you I didn't want to do. My light source there. Okay, so I have my wing and click OK. Position the wing on the Dragonfly's body. Okay, so where is this supposed to go? So from the top, okay, I like to do from the top. This is the easiest way to do it. Okay, you want the Dragonfly's wing right where the smaller meta ball and the big meta ball meet. So have your wing selected, and you're going to go to Edit, the Edit tab here, and you're going to use this rotation tool. Okay, the Z axis is going to flip it like a wheel. You don't want that. Okay, what you do want is and you don't want to flip it on the X, you want to flip it on the Y. Okay, so as you turn it on the Y, you want it to be exactly perpendicular, and what that means is it's going to create a 90-degree angle with your Dragonfly's body. Okay, so that's pretty perfect. I got it good there on the first try without even really trying. So take a second for that. Make sure it's perfect. Okay, and make sure it's just touching that little joint right there, So now what we're going to do is we're going to Control D to duplicate the wing, and the wing obviously duplicates right on top of itself. And we are going to put the second wing right here, okay, on the other side. So now you have a set of wings that are perpendicular to the body of the Dragonfly. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to rotate the second set of wings. Okay, you'll group the first set, you'll duplicate them, rotate them, and then position them on the other side of the Dragonfly. So actually, it says that this is actually supposed to be right here. So we'll leave it on this side. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to select both of them. So the easiest way to do this is to make sure that you have an accessible point here, so kind of select the other one, or you can select all of your spheres if it's right on top of one another. Okay, that's okay too. Just select the sphere down here, and it selects all your spheres, and you're going to group them. Okay, group those, duplicate them, Control D, flip them on the other side of the Dragonfly, and you're ready to go. Okay. So now what it says we want to do is we want to press shift and drag the y-axis of the rotate tool to turn the wings 180 degrees. The text display down at the bottom left down here, okay, you'll see in a minute, will show the rotation degree. Pressing shift and rotating constrains the rotation to 45-degree increments. So it'll only spin in 45-degree increments, as you can see. Okay, so what I like to do is I'm going to do it the way I like to do it, not what the tutorial says to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my wings, okay? I'm going to delete them. Okay, I know that's kind of annoying for you because you just created them, but just kind of delete them and kind of bear with me for a second, and I'll show you, I promise you that my way is a little bit easier and less confusing than what the tutorial says. So create the sphere, recreate it again. No big deal. 10.15, 0.15, and 60. And we're going to put it here, and we're going to rotate it on the Y so it's perpendicular with your Dragonfly. So there it is. I like to duplicate it here. So Control D, and we're going to flip it over to the other side, and we're good. Okay? Those are 2 wings. Okay? We have 2 more wings to put on there, though. So what I like to do is, now that I have 1 wing on each side, I could duplicate each wing that's on each side. So I duplicate this one, Control D, and duplicated the body, didn't want to do that. And Control D. There we go. So now we have 2 wings on each side, because the Dragonfly has 2 sets of wings, so they actually have 4 wings. Okay? So now what we're going to do, what I like to do here is start tilting the wings. So what I like to do is I like to usually use director's view. And it's kind of difficult for me because I'm using a mouse that I'm not very used to, and it's kind of a pain. It just seems that Bryce doesn't like the way my mouse is set up, and it kind of gets confused. It's very sensitive to my mouse, so just bear with me. Okay, so this is as close as I'm going to get. What you want is this dragonfly head straight on so you can see it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift one wing. Okay, I'm going to lift it. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, but we're not going to work with this wing until a little bit later. Okay, so lift this one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to tilt all 4 wings. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to take our edit tool and go to the rotate tool, and I like to spin it on the Z. Okay, whoa. Goes a little crazy, see that? Or the X. Okay, the Z and the X are what are the tools that are going to allow you to give a depiction of your dragonfly being in flight. So make sure that the rotations that you're using are kind of close to even, because a dragonfly is always symmetrical, and in order to fly it must be symmetrical and parallel. So let's see here. I'd like to tilt this one a little bit downward, and I put it back in that joint, and the same one for this one. Okay, I know I'm making this look easy. It's not that easy. I understand that. Take your time. Okay, I know it's not that easy. Don't rush. Pause the video and do what you're supposed to do the right way. So after that, go to from top. Make sure that these are still in the joint. Okay, see this one? Not in the joint. Not there. Now it's there. This one, in the joint. Oh, move the body. Put it back. Undo. Put this one where it's supposed to be. Put this one where it's supposed to be, on top of one another, right? Okay, so now if we look from the right, okay, looks good. From the left, looks good. From the, oops, that wasn't from the left. That was from the front. And then from the back, looks good. And from the bottom, you're not going to see anything. Okay, if you reset your views, you'll look like this. And you can use your director's camera, the trackball, to make sure that everything's in line and in place. It looks good. This is what we want it to look like. You could even reset this and then render it, see what it looks like, and there we go. Look at that. How about that? Looks like a dragonfly. One made of stone right now because we haven't textured it, but we're going to get to that in a second. Okay, and that's where we are going to start for here. Okay, we're going to start texturing our dragonfly. So we're going to add material to the dragonfly body, so we're going to click the body to select it. Okay, you have this box here, select the box. Okay, or select all metal balls, your choice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click the triangle beside the edit tool located at the top of the working window. So up here, edit, here's the edit arrow right next to it. Brings up the textures. Boom, there it is. Let's go to, we're going to go to miscellaneous, soft cyan, and that's it. Okay, so it's under miscellaneous, MISC, it's under basic, it's under soft cyan, looks just like this. Click OK. The body of the dragonfly is now textured. Okay. We're going to add material to the wings. Go ahead and select your wings. I like to use this tool down here, the selection tool down at the bottom right. Click all spheres. Select all of type. Got it. Okay, all 4 spheres are selected. We're going to apply some materials. Edit. Gemstones. White creams. And find diamond in there. Diamond is near the end here. It's third from the last. Okay, click OK. Boom, got it. Click OK. We're almost done, guys. Okay, We need to add water to the background. We deleted our ground plane before. Our dragonfly is just floating in the middle of the aurora somewhere. We have no idea. It just looks like he's floating high, high above the ocean, above the earth. We don't want that anymore, okay? So on the Create palette, we're going to click the Water Plane tool. The water plane is going to put itself right where the dragonfly is. You don't want that. So, delete the water plane, okay? Select all of your dragonfly by dragging that selection box I told you about before. Make sure you don't select your light source. Select the dragonfly. Lift it up. Click, hold, and drag. Lift up a little bit. Very good. Okay, now put a water plane in there. Make sure that wing is not in the water. You want it to graze the water, but you don't want it to touch the water. See that? So just like that. You can even lift the dragonfly a little bit more if you wish. Not too much. Remember, you want it to graze across the water. Okay, so you can shift click that object and kind of lift it. Okay, and now you have some water here. Okay, make sure the water is above and you can see it here. Okay, and we render. We're not quite done yet. We're going to texture some water. Yeah, there's water. There's a reflection right here. That's good. Okay, we're going to get out of that, and we're gonna go to the. We're going to have the water plane selected, click it, go to the edit arrow, and we're going to texture the water. So go from gemstones now to waters, go to turbulent, and then go to waves of reflection. It is the, oh, there it is, first row, second box, second selection. And then click render. There we go, looking real good now. We got a nice reflective water. Okay, the dragonfly has a good perspective. He's got wings. He kind of looks like he's flying, but kind of doesn't right now. So I can kind of put him closer to the water, and the way I render it later when I choose my perspective will be the defining factor in how good it looks when it's if it looks like it's flying. So back to wireframe. Okay. What you could also do is you could select your dragonfly, okay, and then ground all of your objects by hitting this down arrow, and it goes down to the water, okay. But see what it does for mine? This might do it for yours. This is not what you want. You do not want your dragonfly to look like the Titanic sinking. So make sure that it's above the water, but right, just grazing across it like a dragonfly would. Okay, so this is just about the end. So now the last part is you finding a perspective that you wish to use. Now, when I grade these, it's important to note, to take a look at the rubric. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's important to note the things that are on that rubric, and I'll go over that in class when you do your project one. However, I do know that one of those things is that the wings cannot be cut off by the edges of the screen, so be mindful of that and do not cut your the wings out from the shot. Okay, so, and you also want the horizon visible in the background. I've had some that were good without the horizon in the background, but it really looks pretty if it's there. So I like to keep it there, so I make sure that you do keep it there. Okay, so if, let's say, this is my perspective, you're going to find a really good one, though. You're going to spend a little bit more time after this video is over. Get a good perspective, render it, save it as a BMP file, and you're going to save it in the student common and in your Q drive. And once it renders, it'll look something like this. Okay. Notice one big fault with what I just did is that you can't see this wing. The reason for that is because the light source is hitting it at such an angle that I can't even see my wing. Your wings must be visible. Must be, must be, must be. If you need to sit there and rotate them a little bit and make them visible, then do it. Okay? There we go. That's a little bit nicer. It's a little too shadowed for my taste. So make sure you're being mindful of that as well. You don't want the, like I said, you don't want the wings dipping in the water. Mine are very, very close, but they're not touching. Okay, so be careful of that. This is a pretty good perspective, though. It's not too shadowed. It's a little bit shadowed, though, and I should change it just because it kind of bugs me, but this is good. He's grazing across the water. We got the horizon in the background. The wing's a little cut off. This would get you points off, okay? So do as I say, not as I do, okay? Make sure you zoom out a little if you need to. So here, I'll even do it just so it's a good example. I don't want to go down. I want to zoom out. There we go. It's not letting me zoom in. There we go. There it is. That's better. Okay, no more cutoff. Looks good. Remember where your light source is. You don't want it too shadowed. For instance, if all I could see was, if I couldn't see his texture, then that would not be good. At least I could see his texture here. This is a pretty good example now. All his wings are in the frame, not touching the water. I see the horizon. And this is pretty much what a final product would look like. And then you would go ahead and save it after it's done rendering. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed making the Dragonfly. We do one in class, we do one as a project, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.